Okay, here's the first question from our balancing equations worksheet. First thing I'm going to do is divide my page into two, underneath where the arrow is, which means the chemical reaction is happening. Okay, now on the left-hand side I have my reactants, and on the right-hand side I have my products. First thing that I need to do now is I need to write down all of the elements that I have and how many I have of each of them. Okay, so on my reactant side, you can see that I've got in this molecule here, I've got 1 silicon atom and 4 chlorine atoms. So I need to write down silicon times 1 and chlorine times 4. And then over here in my water molecule, I've got 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. The L in brackets here means liquid, and same thing over here for the silicon chloride. Okay, so I'm writing down my hydrogen times 2 and my oxygen times 1. I need to do the same thing now on my product side. Okay, so I've got a new substance here. Silicon oxide is the name of this one. That's 1 silicon and 2 oxygens. And over here in my hydrochloric acid, I have 1 hydrogen and 1 chlorine. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to write the elements down, not in the order that they're listed, but in the same order that I wrote them in on the reactant side. That helps me keep track. And to make sure that I have the same amount of each one at the end. Okay, so just checking those numbers again, I have over here 1 silicon and 2 oxygen. Okay, so that's silicon times 1 and oxygen times 2 down the bottom there. And for my hydrochloric acid, I had 1 hydrogen and 1 chlorine just up here. Okay, so that will be times 1 for the chlorine and also times 1 for the hydrogen. Okay, first thing I'm going to try to do is I'm going to see if I can even up the oxygen. Okay, I've got 1 oxygen here, but 2 over here. If I find where the oxygen is up here, I see that it's in the water molecule, and I know that if I put a 2 in front of the water molecule, that will change my number of oxygen to a 2, because I now have 2 water molecules, so they'd be in total 2 oxygen atoms, but it also changes my hydrogen to a 4. Okay, so whenever I put a number in front, I have to multiply everything by that number. Okay, so my oxygen is fixed. My next process will be to see if I can fix my chlorine. Okay, so for chlorine, I've got 4 over here, only 1 over here. So if I go up to here and put a 4 here, that will change this one to a 4. Okay, so put a 4 here, and this changes to a 4, and so does the hydrogen. Okay, now, look at that. I'm actually balanced now. So I've got 2 oxygen on each side, I've got 4 hydrogens on each side, 4 chlorines on each side, and 1 silicon on each side. So my equation is now balanced.